Dr. Elizabeth Hafer wants you to get your head on straight. In a world gone sideways, having balance and integrity in all areas of life leads to having confidence that breeds clarity. Clarity is essential to living an authentic life, and all the information shared on the Get Your Head On Straight podcast is designed to inspire you to live your life fulfilled. Enjoy the show.
Welcome to Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. My guest is Heather Moore. She is a certified radiology technologist in the state of California, and she has been working at Precision Chiropractic for about 6 years. Not only does she take all of the x-rays in the office with the assistance of the doctors, but she is also the office manager and wears about 62 other hats. I can't wait for you to hear all of the amazing things that Heather has to say about being a chiropractic assistant, an office manager in a busy chiropractic office, and honestly, the best rad tech west of the Mississippi.
Heather, I am so excited to have you on my podcast. It's been about 2 years since I've wanted to interview you. I'm so excited to have you here, and I just want to get into your story because you have been such a tremendous asset to Precision Chiropractic. And give me a little background. Tell me where you're from, what you're about.
Well, first, thank you for having me. I was born and raised in Charlotte, North Carolina. I attended high school in Monroe, North Carolina, and then I started school at the University of North Carolina at Charlotte to get my associates. While I was there, I was undecided and I was looking at biology, and then someone said, "Why don't you do x-ray?" And I was like, okay. So I looked into x-ray school, found out all of the details of what x-ray technologists do, and I applied and I got in. And then it was a 20-month program. It was very hard. We did it at this nursing school. It was mostly for nursing, but they had a small radiology program, which I attended. We did all of our clinicals at the hospital, which was Carolinas Medical Center. So I did all of my rotations there. I graduated, and then I started a job at the hospital that I trained at, which was easy because I already knew everything. So I attended there for about a year, and then I moved to California.
Right. So you were going to go to school and you were like thinking about biology, and then you got into the rad tech program, and then it was all medical. You worked in a hospital system. You had all of your training with like trauma.
Correct.
And I know we've talked about all kinds of funny stories of different things you've seen. We won't go into that here, but you could just imagine having somebody come in and, you know, all of a sudden you're having an x-ray taken and all the different manner of things that could show up on an x-ray, right?
Yes, we did traumas where people came in with different situations, car accidents, falls off roofs and stuff like that.
Right.
And then you had your regular x-rays on the floors where people needed a chest x-ray, or you went into the OR for surgery to, you know, assist with those type of cases.
So you had a really huge kind of gamut of the different ways that you were able to apply your radiology technology skills.
Correct. I had no idea all of the studies that we could do with showing the, small intestine, large intestine to find out why these people are having gastric issues. Or in the OR, we're in there assisting doctors with putting, pins and rods into certain, areas. Or if you're on the floor doing portable chest x-rays, or you're doing an abdomen view, and just all the different areas. So we were always running around the hospital where we needed to be.
Right. Now, we're going to get into this in a little bit, but did you have a lot of exposure to like spine specifically? Like, were you ever in an OR with a doctor where they were doing like a spine fusion or a fractured spine or anything like that?
Yes. And with those type of cases, we would go into the OR and you'd have this machine called a C-arm, and it was like a live x-ray. And it would be over the patient the whole time. And whenever the surgeon needed to see what he was doing at that spot, he would say, image or x-ray picture. And then you would just click the picture so that they could specifically see where their screw is at. Are they too far in? Or they need to go in further?
Wow.
Or if they were replacing a hip, it was really cool watching them use the tools of putting the replacement on the hip itself.
That is outstanding. I got to participate in grand rounds in a neurosurgical setting. I wasn't actually in the surgery, but I got to kind of see where the OR was and like where they went in. I wasn't able to participate in the actual surgery, but you actually got to be in there, like the surg techs and the nurses and the OR doctors or whatever they're doing.
Correct. You got to experience everything that you see in an OR situation. And you were always called to the next room. We need an x-ray tech in here. And you'd run to the next room. And then you'd run back to that room. Still need anything from me? No, you're good. Thank you. I'll go to the next room.
Wow. So it was like really fast paced.
Correct. Yes. Depending on which hospital. Some hospitals have smaller ORs. There's only a couple rooms. When I worked at the one in Charlotte, there was like 32 rooms.
Holy cow.
And there was usually at least 4 of us that would stay in the OR. We had our own little x-ray area where we would hang out until they called us and said, we need you in OR room 19.
So having been a patient at a hospital, like needing to have a CT scan or an x-ray done with me or my kids or whatever, like, can you give me a little bit of an understanding of why in the world does it take so long to get a picture done?
Depending on, I know. Well, there's sometimes because, and when you're especially in the ER, they're triaging depending on how bad your case is. So if somebody comes in that needs that CT scanner, scan faster than you, they're going to go first, unfortunately. Right. But I mean, depending on it, and then you've got a radiologist who needs to read it, and you've got a radiologist who has all of these scans and x-rays coming at him, and he has to read them one at a time, depending on how big the hospital is, depends on how many doctors you have. So it takes a while.
You know what's interesting? Having an explanation gives me a little bit more grace, because when you're a patient and you're just sitting there for 4 hours waiting for a certain image or like the results, it's like, what are they doing? Twiddling their thumbs? But just in this short little time, I've learned that you were like running back and forth from room to room in emergency, in OR, like busy, busy, busy. So I can appreciate having to wait a little bit.
Yes, we would have to wear walkie-talkies on us so they could call to see what floor you're on to say, hey, I need you on a 4th floor. This one needs a stat chest x-ray. So we would be running around, pushing our little portable around the OR or whatever, because then we would do those in the operating room, around the hospital. You guys have seen that big machine that it's like a bulldozer, looks like, coming at you. So we're pushing, but yeah, there's just so much going on depending what type of hospital you're at,
right.
And it just triage is the biggest thing of the life-threatening injuries.
Now, with you having graduated from college in your radiology technology degree, did you automatically have digital, or were you still using cassettes and plain film when you first graduated?
When I was in school, we were digital, but we also had to go to some clinics, and one clinic was old school where I had to go inside this dark room with the revolving door. I was always scared to go in there because it was pitch black until you found that red light on the wall. But so I was already exposed to the digital world with that. The hospital I trained at was level 1 trauma, so we had all the newest technology always. So it was easy starting from there. And then the next hospital that I went to, they were cassettes, but there was a machine that actually you put the cassette in. It would run your film and it would shoot out the other end. So there was no going into a dark room like I did when I was in school.
Right. But having had that darkroom training, I mean, that's the basic understanding of what mass or how much x-ray you're going to use and how powerful that x-ray is going to be. So being able to have that basic like entry level understanding then allows you to use the digital technology more effectively.
Correct. You understand how the x-rays work when you have the old school x-rays of how much energy is going to hit that plate. You need to know how much you need, how much you don't need. And so with the digital world, it kind of took care of that for you, but you learned so much more when we had the old school cassettes and going into the dark room and learning the chemicals and what their job is. This chemical does this chemical does that. And if one of them is off, you're not going to get a good x-ray.
Exactly. And you know what? I also had that massive training in chiropractic school, so I totally understand what you're talking about, which then leads us into the conversation of you end up in California. Now, how did you get here and what was going on in your life with that?
I moved here due to a military move. And when I got here, I was looking for a job and I kind of wanted to do something different than working in a hospital, with the late hours or depending on the holidays that you work. So I figured I would give a shot and see maybe the doctor's office or like an urgent care. So I saw an ad for a chiropractic office and I thought, well, that'll be easy. It's just spines.
Little did you know.
Little did I know there was more to that.
Right. And so on my end, the reason why we, the chiropractic office, Precision Chiropractic, placed said ad was because, and I think it was Craigslist, wasn't it?
It was Craigslist.
How funny. Heather
is the other ones.
Yeah. No, this was like almost 6 years ago. And this was before Indeed and all of the, I guess, fancier ways to find help came along. We put an ad on Craigslist because that was the thing to do. I was pregnant with my little Claire Bear, and I wasn't going to be able to be in the office to process the new patients and take the x-rays. And because I had been in practice for 5 years, we had so many patients, Dr. Top had to cover my practice, his practice, and somehow be able to take new patient x-rays still. And there's just not enough time in the day. So we placed an ad hoping to find somebody that could take x-rays for us to just at least handle that aspect of it. And so we had the ad placed. And actually what was funny is, and I have shared this with you, Heather, we had hired some other lady. We had interviewed her, we had hired her, and this was before I really met you. And then she called like the day before she was supposed to start. And she said, I've accepted a job somewhere else and I'm not going to be coming to work for you guys. And I was a little bit under a timing pressure because I was like 8 months pregnant. And so it was like, literally, this baby is coming, whether I like it or not. And we have to find somebody that I can train before I leave for maternity leave. And we had like 8 weeks. So Heather Moore decided to put an application in and we met. And unfortunately, I probably broke every law for human resources because I was asking questions about being married and having kids and, you know, all kinds of funny stuff that you're not supposed to talk about. But that's just who I am. And I've learned my ways. So just don't even get an idea. I'm a better human resource operator at this point. Am I not, Heather?
Yes, you're doing much better.
Thank you so much. And so Heather agreed to come work for us. And I was very grateful. She started June 15th, 6 years ago. And basically we had about 4 weeks to get her trained before I left for a 2-week vacation that was pre-planned way before I ever even knew I was having a baby. So it was like, we're going to get her trained and then she's going to have a trial run at this for 2 weeks while I'm out of the office to be prepared for 6 weeks later when I actually left for my maternity leave because I was giving birth. And so when I went to Wisconsin, I remember being so nervous. I made my husband drive me in from this little town in Wisconsin that didn't have any internet. And I made him drive me into town every day so I could call and check on her to see how she was doing. Not because she wasn't skilled, because I was nervous that she would hate it because it's so very different. The x-rays that we take are completely different from traditional medical x-rays.
That is very, 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 very true. When I walked into the office and saw the x-ray Bucky, that it tilted, I was like, I have never seen that before. And then when I learned that there's different views that I had not learned in the x-ray field, because we learned every single x-ray you could think of, I was like, oh, this is totally different than just spine x-rays.
Right. So she thought she was going to take an easy job at a doctor's office with
Correct.
AP, lateral, and maybe an oblique spine view.
Yes.
And then we threw on her the very complicated Blair series and all the different ways we take our special pictures, which delineates us from traditional chiropractic. And this is what Dr. Blair had developed back in the 50s. And so I had to train her in about a month how to take views that it took me about 7 years to get good at.
It was difficult at first, and trying to understand what this view was a little bit above me, just trying to figure out what are they looking at? Because when I took x-rays, we would just go, okay, the spine's there, next person. There was no looking at pathology, looking for a possible misalignment. What? So when I got here and they showed me these 3D x-rays that they take, and I was like, wow, I never knew the machine could actually do this type of imaging. Very different.
Yeah. So it was cool to be able to challenge her professionally in that way. And she grew in being able to take the x-rays. And what was remarkable is because she understood the science of x-ray, teaching her how to take the view was actually pretty straightforward. And 6 years later, if she had a ability and a license to practice chiropractic, I always tease her I'd be out of a job because she literally can look at an x-ray and know what the misalignment is and give us opinions like, oh yeah, it looks pretty anterior. You might want to check that out. Or I want to make sure you can see this part of the skull and make sure you can see the edge and make sure that that isn't burned out. Can you read this? And she can troubleshoot for us. And she's actually helping me train the interns that we are, training from the colleges that we work with. And so having her has been an amazing blessing to the practice because now she doesn't just wear the radiology technology hat. She wears the office manager hat and the HR hat and the medical records hat and the
paper towel changer hat.
Yes. I helped with that.
So yes, I wear multiple hats in the office, but I'm proud to wear those multiple hats.
And she has grown from just taking x-rays. Not that she just took x-rays at the hospital, but I want to talk to you about why you stay at a chiropractor office, because you could probably go to the hospital and make way more money and have better insurance. But why do you stay with us? Because we are, number one, so thankful. And number two, know that you provide such a critical aspect to the way that we deliver care. We have a great team and a great flow with the way that we process our new patients.
I love it here because I get to see how the patients come in and how they walk out that door. It's not like in a hospital where somebody comes in with a broken arm, I x-ray it. I never see that patient again unless they come in again because they broke it. Another arm or another object. So I love how I can see them walk through the door. I see how much pain they're in. I talk to them. I figure out where they've been. I hear their stories. I take their x-rays. I watch them get adjusted and I watch them heal. I watch them go through the journey of feeling better. And it's just more of a feel good. Like I get to see my results. I get to see what these patients, what they overcome, how they avoid surgery. I build these relationships. They know me. They know my family. They ask me about my family. I know about their family. I just love the feeling of what we've created in this office of just the relationships we built. You can't find that when you go to an urgent care or a radiology imaging center. It's just like, hi, Mr. Jones. Bye, Mr. Jones. Here we see Mr. Jones over and throughout, months, years, because they want to maintain staying in alignment. So it's a lot different. I just get to see what I get to do for these people.
That is like so rewarding. And I know that that's what keeps us going every day is, the stories, because people come in and they're hurting and we give them solutions. We give them hope.
Correct. You see them crawling through the door and they were their last, or like a surgeon told me I need surgery, or I need to do this. I need to be on medication for the rest of my life. And then we adjust them and we see them heal and we see these miracles happen every day in this office. So that's what's rewarding and that's why I stay. I love what I see. I love what we can do for patients and giving them their lives back. And then obviously I love all my coworkers. It's a great place to work, obviously. But just the value I see and why I stay, I love seeing patients better, love seeing them smile.
That's awesome. And this is the exact kind of thing that you want to create for all the doctors who are listening or for the patients who want to become a patient here at Precision Chiropractic. This is the kind of level of care and expertise and love that you're going to receive because we have, the heart behind what we do. It's our why. Mm-hmm. And yes, she happens to be a radiology technologist, but man, does she go above and beyond. So Heather, I want you to talk just a smidge about your experience under Blair Upper Cervical Chiropractic because you had never really been under chiropractic care.
Correct. I never knew that you could go get chiropractic care when you're pregnant because when I was pregnant with my first child, I had sciatic pain. I actually started getting restless leg syndrome, which never went away after I had my first child, who he's now 14. But so when I came here, I didn't have any symptoms that I could really think, I was like, here and there, I get this little pain. But I didn't think anything of it, but I wanted to see what patients experience. I want to be able to tell them what to expect after they get the first adjustment, what to expect in the future. So I said, hey, check me. Am I out of alignment? Dr. Hafer checked me. Sure enough, I had a lot of traumas, concussions as a kid, but I didn't feel like I had any real symptoms. So I got adjusted. Well, one thing that I noticed after I got adjusted was my restless leg syndrome went away. And Dr. Haver's like, you didn't tell me we had restless leg syndrome. I said, I didn't think of it. I thought it was just there for the rest of my life. And then most doctors don't recognize what restless leg syndrome is. And if you don't have it, you will never understand it. And for people who have it, it is the worst thing, especially if it's at night when you're trying to sleep and your legs will not stop moving. The rest of your body's tired, but your legs want to go and you're kicking the sheets and you want to get up and run a mile in the middle of the night. That's not going to happen. So I got adjusted and it went away and I was like, wait a minute. And then I was talking to you and you're like, yeah, it's like a neurological response. And I'm like, so interesting. So now I get to share that testimony when patients come in with restless leg syndrome. I'm like, well, hey, mine went away with one adjustment. And when I know you probably talked about on the show with retracing and that's the healing cycles that your body goes back through. And so when I go through my retracing, I have one night where it'd be a few minutes, I feel my restless leg syndrome flare up and it's just it's a reminder, oh yeah, I used to have that. And then it goes away.
Right.
So that was like my personal testimony was I had restless leg syndrome and it went away. Thank God.
Right. And now that you've been under care since you started working for us, you've got your kids in under care.
Correct.
And you, the funny thing is when she drives past car accidents on the freeway, she wants to throw a pin or throw a card at them because we see so many people that have been in car accidents and not only do they get better from the car accident, but they get better from all the other stuff that they had going on that they didn't even know that they needed a chiropractor for.
Correct. I didn't know that chiropractic was about the full body. When I first, heard about chiropractic, they just adjust this and adjust that and your neck and your back. And then I realized when I started working here and I see these patients come in with other symptoms as in migraines, headaches, digestive issues, hormonal imbalances. And I was like, oh, well, that fixes that too. And so I'm always out there educating people. Oh, no, chiropractic is more than just neck and back pain. It's your full body because your nervous system dictates everything in there. And when there's an irritation, the body and the brain aren't connected and the brain's not sending those correct signals to the rest of those areas.
I just love that, like, you just, you get it. And so, like, I could just stop doing everything I do and just know that I have made an impact in the world because Heather knows. And she makes such a huge difference in the life of our patients in our practice. Like, if they're referred to me, she sees them on my side. If they're referred to Dr. Tom, she gets to go over there and work with them on his side. And it's amazing that she is, like, basically the glue that holds us together. And she literally gets the images for us and we don't even have to worry. Like, there's no question. When Heather's gone, I feel lonely because I feel like I don't have my partner in crime. And when I have to take full x-rays, it's good for me to take them, but I miss her because it takes me about 15 minutes to take a full x-ray because I also have to analyze the base posterior to get the protracto views that we take. But when Heather and I are working together, we can do it in like 3 minutes.
Yes. And then the patient's like, whoa, you guys do that fast.
Yeah, and it's fun. So I just am so thankful that you guys are hearing the passion behind Heather and why I think she's the secret sauce, to be honest. Yes, the blur correction is amazing, and without it, you're not going to be your full potential. But if Heather Moore has something to say about it, you're going to be winning on every level. So I'm so thankful that you were here to tell me your story today and thankful for sharing your heart. And I'm so thankful that, you put that desire out there to work for a chiropractor and that Craigslist ad was what we needed to get you in here.
It paid off, that Craigslist ad.
The one and only.
The one and only. And I was like, oh, chiropractor, that's easy.
Well, thank you so much for everything you do here at Precision Chiropractic. And I can't wait for all these people listening to come and meet you here.
Yes, I would love to see and meet them and watch them go through their healing journey.
Amen. All right. Well, stay tuned for our next podcast. But thanks, Heather, so much for being here today.
Thank you.
Thank you for listening to Get Your Head On Straight with Dr. Elizabeth Hafer. Visit wellconnectedchiro.com for more details from the show blog post and to learn what Blair Upper Cervical Chiropractic can do for you. To learn more about Dr. Hafer and her practice, you can find her at Well Connected Chiropractic in Mission Viejo, California by visiting wellconnectedchiro.com for more information.